Welcome back, everyone, to Timeless Wisdom, Modern Life. So I've been going through Rabbi Sacks's letters to the next generation, and I will totally share with you the PDF link below. But in letter number 6, and this is what we're going to review today, Rabbi Sacks gives us 21 different Jewish wisdom ideas that we could practice in our day-to-day life. So today, I'm going to share with you the 7 first ideas. 7. I found it. 7? Yeah? 7. 7 first ideas in Rabbi Sacks's list of 21 different Jewish wisdom ideas that have practical applications in our day-to-day life. So let's get started with Rabbi Sacks's Jewish wisdom ideas for our day-to-day lives. Jewish wisdom idea 1. Never try to be clever, try to be wise. Ooh. Okay, let me tell you why I like this one. Clever is the person who has that quick comeback, which I never ever do. Wise is the person who waits. Wisdom comes with age. The older I get, the more I know this, that the longer you live in this world, the more perspective you have, the wiser you are. That's why we associate older people with wisdom. It isn't always the case, but in general, if you've lived in this world long enough, you garner some wisdom along the way. Psychologist Robert Sternberg, who was working in the 1980s, I love this guy, and I need to find out more about him, was dissatisfied with IQ tests measuring intelligence. He thought that intelligence couldn't just be what's measurable in an IQ test, and he coined 3 different types of intelligence that are not measured by an IQ test. So practical, analytic, and creative intelligence. So practical intelligence, analytic intelligence, and creative intelligence. And each one of those uses a different part of our brains to work and a different part of our experience, which is not measured by an IQ test. And what he says specifically about practical intelligence is the ability to solve the real life problems and adapt to ever-changing environments. It's the practical ability to face challenges. Let's do that once more. It's defined by the ability to solve real-world problems, adapt to new environments, and navigate social or practical challenges efficiently. That is, to me, wisdom. Wisdom is what you gain with time and perspective. And Rabbi Sacks says the first idea in Jewish wisdom is never try to be clever, try to be wise. Jewish wisdom idea number 2. Respect others even if they disrespect you. This is a hard one, but let's work through it because it's so clever, even though we said in the previous one, don't be clever, be wise. So this is very wise. I'm learning from my own video here. Respecting others doesn't mean agreeing with them. It means that you can disagree, but do it in a respectful manner. So what happens is that when someone disrespects you, often you will respond, I will respond by mirroring their behavior. They've disrespected me, so I'm going to disrespect them in return. I have the perfect story for you. A few weeks ago, my husband and I were walking down the street. It was the middle of the Christmas festivities, and a few kids in a car that was driving past us must have noticed my husband's kippah, and they started shouting, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas," but it was in a somewhat aggressive manner. It was meant to, I believe, intimidate us. And rather than feeling intimidated, and maybe this was not the smartest action in the world, I responded with Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Basically, what I was doing is what is called non-complimentary behavior. What is non-complimentary behavior? It is actually not responding in the way that the other person expects, which is kind of disrupting the flow of things. In general, kindness is met with kindness, hostility is met with hostility. But when you interrupt that behavior, what you do is you disturb the expectations of the other person. They're kind of stopped short. Imagine that when a child falls, rather than that, oh my goodness, are they okay? Have they cut themselves? You respond with, well done. Will the child be able to get up and not be as shocked or cry if they weren't really injured, they just got a shock? So the first thing is you disrupt the expectation of the behavior. The second thing is you create a new dynamic where the person is in a raised hostile way, or they're being aggressive, and you respond with, say, kindness or curiosity. You kind of create a new dynamic. The relationship has now changed, and rather than you mirroring their behavior, they can start mirroring yours. And the third positive of a non-complimentary behavior is that you set a new example, and it's a way of avoiding conflict. So respect others even if they disrespect you, and this idea of non-complimentary behavior is a great way to do that in practice, not just in theory. Rabbi Sacks's Jewish wisdom idea number 3: never seek publicity for what you have done. Here's the challenge. As someone in the public sphere, even just as a Rebbitzin, and maybe you're in this position too, where your actions are seen by others, how do you not seek publicity for it, or how do you maneuver that? So often your actions are highlighted by being in that position. You don't have to do anything. It will find you most of the time. Seeking publicity is a rabbit hole that it's hard to get out of, because you're going to seek more publicity for publicity's sake. I often think of Maimonides' principles on giving charity. The highest form of charity is when you don't know who you're giving to and the recipient doesn't know who they got from. Both ways. Imagine that. It's not just that you don't know who you're giving to, they also don't know who they received it from. Taking all that ego and hubris out of it. So perhaps there are parts of charity that it is public because you want other people to follow your example. That's okay, but the highest form is where no one knows it's happening. So Rabbi Sacks advises us, don't seek the publicity. Often it will find you, and where you can, try to do what you can in order to minimize that attention. In our world of hyper connectivity, of people really knowing almost everything about us, this is a real challenge, but the benefits far outweigh the difficulties involved in kind of shying away from that publicity. Jewish wisdom idea number 4. This one is so good. The greatest gift of giving is the opportunity to give. So there was a Harvard study done in 2008, and it shows 46 participants. The group was randomly divided into two. One group was given either $5 or $20 per participant and told to spend it on themselves by the end of the day. The other group was given the same, either $5 or $20, and told to actually give it as charity to someone else or an organization. At the end of the day, they tested the participants, and it turns out the ones who gave to charity rather than the ones who kept the money for themselves were happier. And it didn't matter how much they spent, whether it was $5 or $20, they were just happier for having given. This didn't have anything to do with what they did for themselves. It was what they did for others. So yes, the Torah has the mitzvah, the positive commandment for us to give charity, but what this study is saying is it's more for our benefit than it is for the person who is the recipient. Giving tzedakah, giving charity, giving of ourselves, whether it's time, money, or any other resource, the benefit is mainly for us and not for others. So timeless wisdom idea number 4 was the greatest gift of giving is the opportunity to give. Jewish wisdom idea number 5. In life, never take shortcuts. There is no success without effort, no achievement without hard work, writes Rabbi Sacks. This one is so deep and yet so evident, yet we need to be reminded of this. In Angela Duckworth's great book called Grit, read it if you have a chance, she actually shows how passion and persistence is more indicative of success than any talent on its own. So one of her key studies follows a group of cadets at the United States Military Academy at West Point during a program they call, I believe it's Beast Barracks. And this program tests their physical, emotional, and psychological capabilities. And following this group of cadets, she finds that the people who are most successful are those who tackle this beast barracks with passion and persistence. It has nothing to do with their physical capabilities or their intelligence that is going to qualify them for success. It's actually just down to passion and perseverance. So just to quote Rabbi Sacks again, in life, never take shortcuts. There is no success without effort, no achievement without hard work. Jewish wisdom idea number 6. Keep distance from those who seek honor. Be respectful, but none of us is called on to be a looking glass for those in love with themselves. This is a societal problem. I think it's much bigger than people who seek honor. It probably does come from very low self-esteem. There are some things in our world, especially for the younger generation, people who are obsessed with social media, that's making their self-esteem lower, and therefore they're seeking to get approval in the same platform that's actually robbing them of self-esteem. And that turns them into approval needing beings, and that becomes the entirety of everything that motivates their actions. And then they become this very needy sponge that is constantly looking for approval and honor. And Rabbi Sacks is advising us, keep your distance from those people, because all they're going to do is suck everything out of you. So be respectful, he says, but keep your distance. You are not a mirror for people who constantly need that approval. Can you think of anything deeper? It so resonates with our world right now. And I think it's also instructional. Don't become one of those people. Rabbi Sacks does not say that, but I'm interpreting. Don't give yourself over to being the looking glass for that person, but don't become that person either. Don't seek that external approval. Find it in yourself. Find it in your relationship with God and a positive relationship with others. Don't suck them dry, but give. And in that giving, which was one of our previous points, you will receive boatloads of that nurturing thing you need for your self-esteem. Don't seek it in terms of seeking that honor. A lot of Rabbi Sacks's ideas in Jewish wisdom right now are really about building our own character. And I think that's so integral to the people we want to be, the people who we want to turn up in the world. Jewish wisdom idea number 7. Be mindful that God sees all we do. Did you ever consider when you were a kid that lightning would strike you if you did something wrong, that God could see everything, and then when lightning didn't strike, you had to think twice? Did that cause you to perhaps trial it out a few more times, or did you stick to the straight and narrow? There was a study done in 2020 that asked participants to make decisions that were either morally right, wrong, or neutral. And it was up to the participant which decision they would make. But they were told that some of those instances would be observed and some of them wouldn't be. And they knew which ones would and wouldn't be. And what was being tested would be, would the participants do something different in the unobserved moments than in the observed moments? And it turns out they didn't. They did the same thing, whether observed or unobserved, which leads me to believe that that moral voice inside is always with us. When Rabbi Sacks says, be mindful that God sees all we do, it's that reminder that you can do this. You can hone that internal dialogue that God sees all we do and we see all we do. It affects our internal being all the same, whether we are observed or unobserved, whether you're acting in kindness to yourself, which many people struggle with, or to others, that it affects us. It's always there. So be mindful. And that idea that God is always there, it's so much bigger. Even though God is a huge concept, one that most of us can't really conceptualize, but we're always there. You always see your actions. You're always aware of them. Be mindful of that. And that should dictate how we behave if we're really mindful that that's always there. All right, let's quickly review our first 7 Jewish wisdom ideas based on Rabbi Sacks's letters to next generation. 1, never try to be clever, try to be wise. 2, what is 2? Respect others even if they disrespect you. Number 3, never seek publicity for what you do. Number 4, the greatest gift of giving is the opportunity to give. Number 5, in life, never take shortcuts. Number 6, keep your distance from those who seek honor. Number 7, be mindful that God sees all we do. I love these ideas because they pervade our everyday lives. We're probably already doing them, but being reminded that these come from a deep sense of Jewish wisdom, I think connects us more to our heritage, to our community, to who we are as a people when we remember that these are not just ideas of Jewish wisdom, these are Jewish values. I want to quote for you directly from Rabbi Sacks's letter. Wisdom is free, yet it is the most expensive thing there is, for we find and acquire it through failure or disappointment or grief. That is why we try to share our wisdom so that others will not have to pay the price for it that we paid. That is deep and sad at the same time. Wisdom is free, yet it is the most expensive thing we acquired. We acquired it through experience, through pain, through grief, hopefully some of it through joy, and sharing it. That is one of the ideas of Judaism from dor ledor, from generation to generation. We share our wisdom, we share our knowledge, we share our Torah. So those were the first 7 ideas from Rabbi Sacks's letters to the next generation Jewish wisdom.